Bear down, Bears fans. I'm going to tell you why the Chicago Bears should not shut Justin Fields down through the rest of this season, and it starts right now. Now, if you are new to the channel, I need you to do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you got the notifications turned on as well. And if you're sitting here right now, you might as well hit that like button as well. And let me know in the comments below, do you think Justin Fields should be shut down? Leave a simple yes or no. I don't believe that Justin Fields should be shut down starting this season off. And here's my reasoning behind this, right? There's a lot of Bears fans that want to protect Justin. They say there's nothing to play for at this point. The Bears are out of the playoffs, which is facts, right? Like, the Bears are out of the playoffs. They're not going to go out there and run off a string of wins, and all of a sudden we're going to look at this team and just be like, oh, let's go. We're on the way to the playoffs. That is not in the cards for the Chicago Bears this season. But at the end of the day, there is still importance that can come from this season. Well, Pat, what do I mean? I direct you to right before the bye week, right? A lot of the same people that were saying you should shut down Justin Fields. Justin Fields isn't going to gain anything by playing the rest of this season. Justin Fields isn't going to take another step through the rest of this season, right? Well, the same people calling into the ESPN 1670 The Scores, right? All of them. I got the receipts. I know who y'all are, right? Like, and even on this show, calling in on this show, talking about you got to shut Justin Fields down. You can't keep putting him out there to get hurt. Guess what? We saw development from Justin Fields yet again, by the way, from 1 week to the next. Last week versus the Green Bay Packers, we saw Justin Fields not only stand in a pocket, that was a much better pocket, by the way. I don't know if the Packers pass rush played into that. I mean, probably a little bit, right? But it was a much better pocket. I'm not going to act like it wasn't, but we saw that team, right, go out there and keep Justin Fields in the pocket. Justin wasn't running the ball nearly as much. Justin hardly used his legs in most of the game, and I understand, right, the second half play calling does play into that. I don't like a lot of what we saw at the end of that game, blah, blah, blah. But with all that being said, that's the best game that we've seen from Justin Fields as a passer. He was on point. He was dropping back. He was reading the defense. He was taking what the defense was giving him. Those are the things that you can continue to see develop this season. And here's the thing. For all the people that want to see Justin Fields just stop developing, you have to understand that that would mean that right now, whatever you get right now from Justin Fields, while you may feel like that's great, that's the end of his development. I know that we think that there's this development that's going to happen by him just sitting on the bench and watching, or him just sitting there looking through the playbook, or him just sitting there and watching somebody else go out there and run the offense that he should be running. That's not the case. I'll tell you why. Every player has said you cannot replace in-game reps. There's no player that ever said, you know what, those are the things that I worked on in practice, and when we got on the field, it was perfect. No, you still got to work on it when you get on the field. You still have to work on those things when you get to the practice. Puts you in the right mindset, in the right scope of it, in the perfect situation for this play to play out, so that when the perfect situation does arise, you're able to easily make that play. The play can become a go-to play for you in those perfect situations. But at the end of the day, how many times do those perfect situations play out on the actual football field? I'll bet you most players would say almost never. And I know, right, there's some players that are in favor of this, but it's just because we're not used to having a quarterback. It's just because we're not used to having a guy with this kind of talent in the building. He is a dual threat guy. He showed you last week, hey, if I could stand back here with a little bit of protection, I could deliver the ball. If I could stand back here with a little bit of protection, I could deliver the ball on point. I could run the score up for you a little bit. You know what I mean? And you know what else he showed me last week, and it's something I've seen all year. But you know what? There is a point that he can get these wide receivers to that is the next level. Now, that level probably still isn't right top tier level, and I think that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Like when everybody was hype about Equanimeous St. Brown, I was like, hey, guys, let's pump the brakes on him. This is a guy that Aaron Rodgers couldn't make play better. I think he's okay. I don't think that he's going to be the end of the world. We've probably squeezed most of the juice that we can out of Equanimeous St. Brown in this situation. That's a pause. Is that a pause? I don't know. We'll move on from that. Oh, that's tough. There's a flag on the play. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's all about continuing to grow inside this offense and continuing to grow with two things. One, Luke Getsy as a play caller, who absolutely has to improve. If Luke Getsy doesn't improve as a play caller, we're in trouble moving forward because, and I do think there is a little bit to be said about how he's calling these games. I think there's a little bit of a, we got a chance of winning this. You can't do that. Don't do that. We can't win this game. I think there's a little bit of that going on. I'm not going to lie. After watching how the second half of that Packer game was called, I 110% think there's a little bit of that going on. But on top of that, right, like, it's just developing a rapport with the players that are still on the field here. Guess what? Are we saying that Justin Fields' relationship with Cole Kmet is perfect yet? I don't think anybody's saying that. I think that it's moving in the right direction now that Cole's getting more targets. He's being targeted more. He's attacking a little bit better. I think that it's better, right? But hey, is that where we want that to be going into next year? No. And here's the thing, right? Like, for me, we're bringing weapons in to add to what is already here. It's not like we're going to cut the entire team. There's going to be some pieces here. So you want to have pieces that Justin Fields already has this relationship built up with and has continued to develop this relationship as we go into the offseason, right? And so for me, you have to keep him out there. I'm not saying put the kid in harm's way. I'm not saying send him out there to go die. But if he's medically cleared to play, if he has the ability to play, if he can go out there and make plays and it's not at risk of doing any further damage to him, then guess what? He should be out there playing. I said this in a previous video, but we still, right, coming off of this bye week, we still want to, hey, he shouldn't be playing versus the Philadelphia Eagles because I think this is the perfect team for him to be playing against, man. I'll let you know why. We're going to keep it going, man, but I do want to know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Justin Fields should be shut down? Drop a simple yes or no in the comments. Everybody who comments, it does help the channel grow because YouTube sees the comments and the likes and stuff like that, and it's like, hey, we're gonna show this video to more people. So everybody who does that, appreciate you guys for showing love, man. Appreciate you guys for helping out, and I appreciate you guys for interacting back and forth with me. Here's my thing. As we're moving forward, I think this is the perfect team for the Chicago Bears to face. For more development of Justin Fields and for more development of Luke Getsy. Why? We know what coaches do in this NFL. We know what coaches do when they go up against, right, different competition and actually get to see some of these plays in action. I think the big thing here is that you've now got a Chicago Bears team that is going to have a similar quarterback to what Jalen Hurts is, facing an offense that is kind of already perfected. So I don't know, perfected. I guess so, right? Like they're dominating the NFL this year. That has kind of perfected the offense you want to run with that kind of quarterback. And so there's things that you can go into this game and absolutely take little tidbits of. Take little, I like that. Let's run that. That would be perfect for Justin. But the thing is, right, you also have to have Justin Fields in the game for him to be able to implement those things. I'm not saying you're going to do them right away, do them that night, but right, like maybe going into the next week, you take something from Jalen Hurts this week and you're like, oh, that's going to work really well versus the Bills. That's going to be a nice play, right? Like, of course, this week, right, I think it's a little bit different as you're going up against the Eagles defense. But again, right, and here's the thing that I think is most important with all of this. By the way, this Eagles game is going to be very interesting, right? Because we got Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker out of concussion protocol. They will be back for the game. I can't wait to see kind of what their rookie impact is going to be on this game as well. So it's an even more exciting game for me to tune into. But on top of all of that, right, like, there's just something to be said about the possibility of getting a big win versus a team you're not supposed to beat. The Bears aren't supposed to beat any of these teams finishing out the season outside of maybe you could say the Lions, but even I'll have to admit I've been wrong on Detroit. Detroit, since that Bears game, has been dominating offensively anyway. You know, the defense a little shaky. I don't know what that defense is. But outside of that, right, like for me, I'm looking at, okay, as Justin Fields is continuing to grow, as Justin Fields is continuing to develop, now you got to start to get some of these wins. And I'm not saying it's going to be the big, oh my God, this is the moment. But the confidence that grows in a young player when you go out there and you beat the team that everybody says you weren't supposed to win that game. You weren't supposed to get that win. You weren't supposed to go out there, right? Like you could be talking about, right? Maybe he goes in there and beats the Philadelphia Eagles. Now he goes into the Buffalo game with a little bit more swagger, a little bit more confidence. Now, at the same time, NFL has a real way of humbling you, right? Like I'm not going to act like Justin Fields is just going to come out here and he's going to run off the last 4 games of the season. At least I kind of hope he doesn't, because that would mess up the draft position, which is the one thing that we're rooting for at this point. But I mean, like one of those wins, one of those big wins, just finally being able to push through, especially for Justin Fields, who has been this close pretty much every game this season. There hasn't really been a game. The Dallas game, I guess we got manhandled in that one. But outside of that, there hasn't really been a game where we really got manhandled. Well, I can't even say that. Well, we kind of did. Second half of that game, we were getting cooked. But the defense still kind of gave that. No, Justin did, because he fumbled. Justin fumbled. That's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is getting one of these big wins versus these bigger teams, right? I think that's something that you can go out there and you can look at and say, hey, I was able to do that with nothing. What am I going to be able to do going into next season with an improved offensive line, hopefully, with different weapons at the wide receiver position, with a better defense is going to put me in better position, right? Like, I'm not saying you even go out there and fix all the holes this offseason, but I think, right, like, there's certain things to be said to actually getting a win versus, right? Like, it's the reason why they don't bring major league pitchers up right away. It's the reason why they have minor leagues in most leagues. The NFL, you just can't really do it, right? It's the reason why they have the growth process in most of these leagues, because you don't want somebody to go out there and get their confidence crushed every single night. Now, I think the thing here with Justin is, right, he's got an excellent backing behind him, because in Chicago, if you show us that you remotely can play the quarterback position, we're going to fall in love with you. Now, Justin is showing us that not only can he play the quarterback position, but he also can be the best athlete on the field at the same time. That's an entirely different thing in itself, which gets Bears fans even more excited. But for me, right, like, just that confidence in actually getting a win versus one of those top teams, versus the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday. It's really, right, these next 2 weeks are the weeks where I'm like, I don't want both. But if we get one win, I would be okay with it. If we got one, I would be okay with it, because, and I know it would change draft position, it would change a lot, but like I just feel like he needs to get one, and it would impact him so much more if it was one versus, right? Like, I would have loved it to be the Packers last week, but if it's one versus a team that everybody was like, you have no shot of beating this team. Right? Just not to say you shut everybody up the rest of the way, but just to be able to shut people up for 1 week. I think that's what Justin Fields is craving right now, and I hope he gets that satiated, man. I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think the Chicago Bears should be shutting Justin Fields down the rest of the way? I don't believe so. I think there's still a lot he can develop. There's still a lot he can learn. There's still a lot of in-game things that he needs to work on, right? Still getting the ball out a little bit quicker. I thought he did a better job of that in the Packers game. Need to continue to see that develop, right? If you are going to have him more as a passer through these weeks instead of running the football, which I would love to see, right? Like, that's the other thing too. Let's keep building on what we saw in that last Packer game. Two things can be true. There are a ton of running quarterbacks in this NFL. And by running quarterback, I'm just saying dual threat quarterbacks, guys that can run the ball and pass the ball really well. But the guys that stay around longest, the guys that stay in this league for a longer time, are the guys that know, right? Like Pat Mahomes, you wouldn't think of him as a dual threat quarterback. You think of him more as hey, he's got the ability to go nuts with that. But he stands in the pocket and he delivers the football most of the time. The most we've seen Pat Mahomes run was in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, and he was going the other direction. I think it was Super Bowl. He was going backwards. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you don't want to see Pat Mahomes running. And I would kind of be okay if Justin got to a point like that, right? Where, yeah, you know he's got that weapon, because that's always going to be a trick in his bag. When the play, and it's like how Jalen Hurts is right now, right? Jalen Hurts, dual threat quarterback. Josh Allen, dual threat quarterback. They're the most dangerous players in the NFL, and we've got one here, Chicago, because the play broke down. We called a play. The play didn't work. What's he doing? Oh, he just ran it for 40 yards and a touchdown. That's what you want to get to. But we don't want it to have to be the thing that he has to lean on. So as these weeks go through, as you play tougher defense, different things like that, continue to deliver the football. That's my message to you guys today, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Do you think they should sit Justin the rest of the year, or are you on my side? He should continue to play through. Drop a simple yes or no in the comments below, and continue to check out our Chicago Bears and Chicago Bulls content on the channel. We've got a ton of content on the page already. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.